Hello, good evening. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, kindly give me like an emoji. I think we experienced a little bit of technical hitch. Okay, great. Great. Okay, so Miss Ante, please, if you're with us, you have the floor again, please.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Sorry everyone. I think as usual, network issues. Yeah, so where I was talking what I was talking about. Yeah, with all the pressure going on, even with our colonial, we're still living in our colonial educational system. It's been there for over 50 years, 60 years, and we're still using that old system. And imagine everybody has been trained, or our mindset has been fixed that everyone has to go through the primary school, JSS, you have to go through university. But as when someone fails in school, they think that is the end of it. And usually, when people feel, oh, I have failed and I cannot do anything in life again, then they send you to technical or vocational schools, thinking, oh, that's like a negative thing. There's this negative stigma around being in the vocational or technical schools, and it's like deemed that people who can't perform or who are failures are sent there. But there's so much skills that we can gather from that. So when I talked earlier about mindset shift, it all comes in where we have to change the mindset of the youth that no, everywhere you find yourself, you can make a change. For me, every location I traveled to, I lived in Canada for a while before I moved to the UK. With everywhere I go, I try to understand the system. I try to um, work on myself. There's so much how do I say, discrimination and stigma that I have experienced personally. I think it would take long if I have to talk about that. But and people would ask me, how come you keep going and you don't even, it doesn't even show on you that you are suffering or you're struggling. And I tell the person it's because I have built my mindset, I've built a mental toughness that I'm not going to give up. I'll keep going, even when it seems like it's all not going to work. I've been repeated in school before. I've had so many challenges, but I keep going because I've built the mindset that no matter what happens in my way, there's still greater things ahead that I have to work towards. There's still people ahead that I have to work towards. There's still people ahead that are looking up to me, that I would perform and they would follow my lead. Sometimes we don't know, but people are looking. They may not tell you. Maybe you post a picture or you do the things that you do, and maybe nobody says, oh, you are doing well, or nobody tells you, you are doing great. Nobody gives you that acknowledgement that you'd want. You never know, but people are looking at you. People are learning from you, and that's how we've allowed we most the people that are smart and intelligent usually are quiet because they think nobody wants to hear from them. And then we have allowed, and people don't have to be on stage or don't have to be influencers, are now influencing the youth into ways that we would not want them into, like all these people are like Slay Queen or all these influencers taking over stage. Meanwhile, we have great leaders and youth who have to take over, leverage the technology that we have now to speak and advise and influence in a positive way. So as I'm here today, I'm calling upon everyone. And everywhere that you have an opportunity, stand and speak for others. Because when you speak as an individual, you speak for thousands. You never know. But the moment you stand up and speak out, the moment you lift a hand and support or contribute in a community work, I like to volunteer a lot. I've done so many volunteering work. Every community I find myself, I go in, I say, oh, can I support these women? Can I do this? So I work a lot with refugee and migrant women because then you look at the trauma and the trauma they've gone through, and people don't talk much about it. What trauma affects? It affects every aspect of your life. Imagine when you have gone through so many anxieties and so many depression, so many suicidal thought. The people who have suicidal thought, they have nobody to talk to because of the stigma that it comes with, right? There are people that have lost friend, and we lost a friend who had suicidal thought and told the other friend, oh, I think I would want to take it. And the person laughed about it. And in a few months, the person did it. And like people are losing their lives, but because maybe it's not that's not what we see on social media, right? I think I spoke to a psychiatrist and she told me the number of schizophrenia cases, anxiety, depression cases that we see within black minority or like black and other ethnic minority people is very alarming. And I was like, really? So, but we don't hear this in the news. We don't hear this in the communities, because usually it comes with stigma. So we cover it up. Even when a friend knows, they'll cover it up, and so nobody would know this is going on. These are some of the silent battles that people are going through. There are issues that we could have recovered earlier, but because the person is shy to talk about it, there's no system that has been developed, even in our school system, that when someone is going through grief, when someone is going through loss, or maybe didn't perform well, there's no wellness system being placed in schools that, or maybe you can go and see this counselor, you can go and talk to this person to help you. We don't have that. We don't have that in our schools. These are something that we need to all work towards. How can we create peer mentorship that we can support one another, look out for one another? But also, before you look out for the other, you have to also take care of yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. When you are empty, how can you give to others? So I always encourage people, rest. Take care of yourself, be there for you, so that you would have also the energy to be there for others. And when you talk about mental wellness, mental health pressures, we can't take it just from maybe offering these services. You have to take it from a broader perspective, a holistic point of views. A holistic point of view. So we have to create systems that are simple and relatable to our youth to understand. I think just last week somebody was asking me, so what's this mental health all about? And this is someone who is like 30, 40 years old, an educated person. So I was surprised when the person asked me, so what's this mental health all about? That means the person lack awareness, they have no knowledge about what mental health is. And so that I believe we are in a time where we need to work very fast. And also, yeah, it's urgently work very fast because people are losing their lives. When you look at the statistics, you would see, oh, it's numbers, but that's the lives of people that are going. I think the fourth cause of death among young people between the age of 13 to 17 is suicide. And so this is really alarming. And when you say the fourth number, I don't know how many people that would be. That would be thousands of people that have lost their life to suicide because there was no support system for them, because there's no one to talk to, because they are afraid. How can I tell somebody I'm going through stress? How can I tell someone I'm going through anxiety? They'll think I'm weak. They'll think maybe I'm possessed with maybe a spirit. They would associate it with religion. And at some point, our religious system does not help us. But I also believe it's because they lack the knowledge and the deep knowledge about what mental health is, and they do not have the necessary training to also support the people. I think I like what is going on in Zimbabwe. A psychiatrist created an initiative called the Friendship Bench, where they train grandmothers, and they are like benches in the community, so that grandmothers would sit in these benches. Usually, in our communities, you see a grandmother sitting under a tree and you greet the person and pass. But this system is a way that I don't know how it's done in person, but you can go and talk to a grandmother maybe you don't know about the stress or what you are going through, and then they advise you, which is very relatable, simple. Even in our personal homes, if you have a grandmother, you go there and talk to them. I think there are other initiatives also coming up, which is very good, but I think we need more. We need more. It's really urgent. And so we need more support, more initiative. And also, as youth leaders, we need to have that mental health leadership. We need to create leadership amongst ourselves. Everybody should be an advocate. You will not understand until you've gone through a severe depression and you feel like this is the end for me and I can't do anything about it before you'd come to the awareness of why this is important. So maybe I'll be talking too much, but yeah, we need to wake up on this issue. I know people have talked about it, but these are lives. These are lives. The expectations that are being laid upon us is really high. And why is this important? Because we see the radicalization going on now. Now youth are very rowdy. There's so much gender-based violence going on, femicide. And it's because especially when you talk about gender-based violence, a lot of times women suffer the most. And it's not like I'm saying the men justifying men for doing that, but because most men don't go in for mental health support. Most men don't have nobody to talk to. Men, apart from ego, there are no systems that have been created to support men in terms of their mental well-being. So when they become stressed and they don't know what to do, usually men outburst using maybe action. Usually women will outburst using maybe words, but when men, it's like over and they don't know what to do, some of them would use like action by beating you physically, trying to manipulate you. And so these are some of the effects of when we don't work on the mental health issues in our system. You will know, and I think there's more to be talked about, but maybe because of time I'll try and end it now. So I would advise everybody we should take care of ourselves. We should try, and any opportunity you get, try build system, peer mentorship. Who can I call on? Who can I support? Don't, if you are going through something, don't be on yourself alone. Try and find someone and talk to you. You'd be surprised. Someone will be willing to hear you out. Someone you can trust would be willing to hear you out, so that you don't end up in a worse cases. There are so many psychiatric cases going on that doesn't come in the news, so we don't see it. So yeah, I would advise everyone to take care of yourself, rest well, eat well, because whatever happens in your mind, it happens in your body. So when your mind is not in a good shape, your body will also start deteriorating. So yeah, this is where I would end. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and I hope you were able to get something from what I talked about today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for throwing light to the fact that mental health is very important. Thank you so much for connecting the dots to how real it is, even to the complaint of depression or whatnot. Thank you so much for your time, Miss Eunice Ante. Okay, so I'm glad to be doing this with the lady. She goes by the name Mariam Majid, and we're playing tag team today. So for today, till the end, for now, till the end of this session, I'll be handing over to a friend, Mariam Majid, to take over from here. So Mariam Majid, you have the floor now. Hello, Mariam Majid. Can you hear me, please? Okay. Think I don't have Mariam Majid with me, but then I will just go ahead to introduce the next speaker. To introduce the next speaker, it's a great pleasure to introduce a bold creative thinker and one of Africa's rising voices in branding, strategy, and youth development, Mr. Nana Akwesi Sarpong, the founder and CEO of Tribe Pro Consult. Mr. Sarpong is a passionate advocate for helping young Africans and emerging brands define their identity, amplify their influence, and position themselves purposefully in today's competitive business landscape. Through his firm, Tribe Pro Consult, he has worked with individuals, institutions, and startups to unlock their unique voice and visibility in ways that are both authentic and impactful. He's deeply committed to empowering the next generation of African entrepreneurs, not just with business tools, but with the confidence and clarity to lead with purpose. At IS 2025, he will speak on unlocking identity and influence in the African business ecosystem. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Nana Akwesi Sapong to the stage. Mr. Nana, you have the floor now.
All right. Thank you very much, Daisy, for the introduction. And thank you to everybody that made it here today for this summit. I also want to express my gratitude to Alfred Elidei for putting this together and for the opportunity. And for the audience that are in attendance today, thank you for making the time to be here today. Before I speak, I would like to give a shout out to Madam Eunice Ante, who spoke before me. Your session was really it was powerful. Reasons being that some of these matters that you touched on are not things that many people like to talk about or realities that people like to face. And so for being a bold voice, I commend you. And I encourage all other young women on this platform right now to emulate the same wherever they are. That goes for the other gender as well. I'm privileged to be speaking with you today on how to unlock identity and impact within the African business ecosystem. And so I'm promising you
a lot of experience.
Hello, Gloria, are you saying anything? So
I think you can proceed, please.
Oh, okay. I will be sharing my screen because whatever I'm presenting is going to be via a detailed presentation. So for the presentation, pardon me, you will not be seeing my face. You'll be seeing what I'm actually sharing with you throughout the entire session. So I'll get into it right away. I'll share my screen right now. I don't know if if I am allowed to, if I have the permission to share my screen. I would like to do.
Yes, you do.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let me know when you can see my screen.
We can see it.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so I'm speaking on unlocking identity and impact in the African business ecosystem. And in case you hear some squishy sounds in the background, it is raining heavily at my end, so kindly pardon me. Before we start, can someone over here tell me what anybody at all could volunteer? And please, I can't see whose hand is up. So if you want to speak, if you want to respond to any of my questions, you could just unmute yourself and then speak. What does being African mean to you? Just two people could say something quickly and then we move forward. What does being African mean to you? Anybody at all could speak. Any volunteers?
Okay. I would say being resilient.
Being resilient. Okay, I like that. Being resilient. Of course, it takes a lot of resilience to be African these days and for the longest time. So yes, I like that. Please, can I get one more and then I move forward? Just one more. Hello. All right. Let's move forward. So being an African can mean many things. And it is important that whatever being African means to you, you must always understand the tenets that make you an African. Resilience is one of the characteristics. Innovation can be one. Creativity can be one. Boldness could be one, and so on and so forth. So before I proceed, let's recount these things. Now, I like this Zimbabwean proverb. It says that until the lion tells his side of the story, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. And that is true. Until we as Africans stand up and say we want to tell our stories differently, we want to create our own narratives, and then tell the true story of our victory, of our conquest, the world and people who are not us, people who are not African, will keep telling stories that make us appear as victims instead of victors. And it's important that we rise up and start doing that from today. That's why I applauded what Miss Eunice Ante was talking about, because it really aligns with some of the things I'm about to share with you today. The second quote says that a single bracelet does not jingle, and that's true. It means that no matter how big the vision is, no matter how strong you find yourself personally, no matter how gifted you are, there are certain things you can't ever do alone. And in fact, the kind of change and transformation we are desiring in Africa is not something that one person can achieve. So if you're single, if you're alone, you can never get certain things done, especially these things that we are chasing these days. So a single bracelet indeed cannot jingle. And this was a Congolese proverb. And finally, you learn how to cut down trees by cutting them down. Everything that we want to learn, as much as possible, is in the doing. It is in the doing. And so when Mrs. Eunice Ante was speaking on people thinking because they have to go into some technical field, some technical school, when they were not accepted by some other program and so on and so forth, means that their life is over. It's not really true. There are beautiful things, wonderful things, mighty things to discover everywhere that you find yourself. The most important thing is applying yourself to it, because that is the only way you find out. If there's anything that you learn, anything that you should find out, anything that you should know, you should discover, you must apply yourself and commence the pursuit of discovery. Else, the best things will always elude you. And that is the question I always ask my students, staff, and so on and so forth, that every opportunity you have to read anything, take it up and read it. Because imagine that the biggest breakthrough of your generation, that thing that will turn your family around, that thing that will turn your community around, was buried in the middle of a book that you never bothered to read. You never bothered to open that book. Imagine. Just imagine. So I encourage everybody, apply yourself to doing things. You can start rusty. It doesn't matter how you start. Just start. Start cutting down your tree. That is the only way you will learn how to cut down trees. All right. Now, these are the things from my research. These are the things that, in my perspective, define what a true African business is. The first thing has to do with the geography. Where is the business? If it's on Mars, it's not African. The geography matters. The headquarters of whatever entity you are building should be in Africa, because the people in the diaspora will not headquarter any of their operations in another man's country, unless, of course, it is a sister company. Even with that, it means the headquarters or the parent company is not located in another man's country. The other dimension to the geography is to have all your operations primarily based in Africa. The second, speaking on ownership and the human resource, the majority owners or the owners of the business must be African. And that business should prioritize the recruitment, training, development, and the maintenance of African talent, African suppliers, and partners. That means that you're operating on an ecosystem mindset. And it's very important that the people who help to run the business, the entity, the empire, are African. You must have an Afrocentric identity. You cannot be African enough. And that's just a fact. So in whatever type of business, whatever type of entity you're in, you must ensure that you are maintaining that Afrocentric identity. African values, African cultures, African history should be embedded as much as possible in everything that you're doing. Your brand should have an Afrocentric twist to it. Furthermore, you must have Ubuntu-like leadership. If there's anything that cuts across every aspect of humanity, I think Ubuntu is it. Because there's not a single, one person alone cannot make up Africa. It takes all of us for us to be African. Number 4, you must have Africa-based solutions. This means that whatever product and service that you are providing or producing or offering to the market must principally cater to the needs, the demands, and the realities of the African people. And in whatever that you are doing, you must seek to bring about innovation and change within the African context. If it's not serving Africans, there is something that you need to do about your business. Number 5, you must be oriented towards impact. Yes, there's room for profitability, there's room for capitalism, but impact will always, always, always keep you in the long term. So be driven by a legacy. Your legacy could be speed. It could be quality. It could be touching lives. It could be humanity. It could be anything. Have a legacy and stand on it. And you must always make sure that you measure how successful you are, not just by how much money you've made over time, but by how many people that you've touched and how much change that you have created. And finally, have a Pan-African mindset. You must make sure that irrespective of whatever that you're doing, you are not thinking your country alone. You are thinking across borders. You are thinking beyond your home country. If you are in Kenya, think beyond Kenya. If you are in Nigeria, think beyond Nigeria. If you're in Ghana, think beyond Ghana. If you are in Zimbabwe, think beyond Zimbabwe, and so on and so forth. Always have that Pan-African mindset. There are more people who need whatever value you are creating beyond your home country. And these are the 6 elements, in my opinion, that define a true African business. If there's any business, any vision that doesn't have any of these or all of these in there, that business should question its identity within our African market space. And so how do we explore this identity in branding and marketing and positioning? In branding and in marketing, we have 3 fundamental things that we can stand on. We have our language, we have our symbols, and we have our stories. Neither of these is greater than the other. And surely, you cannot do away with one. All of these things must come together to properly identify you as African. And so before we had brands, before we had all of these digital campaigns and so on and so forth, we had our stories, we had our symbols, and we had our language. Before standardized test scores came on English proficiency and so on and so forth came, we had our Zulu, we had our Swahili, we had our Chi, we had our Yoruba, we had our Igbo. These were things that defined us long before things changed. And so it's important that whatever thing that we are doing in business now, we keep these elements in there. And the reason it's so important is because there's nothing in any part of the world that beats culture. And for sure, Africa has the richest culture on the entire planet. And so when we build our businesses, we build our entities, we build our visions and our dreams on these tenets, we are giving trust to our people. We are intensifying the pride that we have as Africans. And we are certainly building brands that belong to us, with us, for us, and brands that will always represent our heritage. And so in our languages, we should be proud of our mother tongues and then showcase them in our businesses. When South Africa hosted the World Cup, they called the ball the Jabulani. And that was the first time we have had any country call the FIFA ball by their local dialect. And that was the first time we also heard about the horn being called the vuvuzela. And it permeated other parts all over the world. So we must use our mother tongues for market advantage. That is how we connect with local pride and understanding. We must also ensure that we incorporate multilingual packaging and campaigns into our business, into our campaigns, into our marketing and everything that we are doing. If I have a proposition in Twi or an advertisement in Twi, I can have it in Swahili as well, and so on and so forth. That is why one company can have adverts translated in 4 or 5 different languages. These are very, very important things. And lastly, we must look at how we name things. Like the reference I made with the Jabulani during the South African World Cup. When we do these things, we bring familiarity between cultures, and it helps. Now to our symbols. We have unique patterns of fabric, unique symbols that represent different things. In Ghana, in Twi, we call it the Edinkra. These are all different emblems that represent our rich heritage. We have colors that are unique to us, right from our flag to the fabrics that we wear, even down to the way we paint our homes. All of these evoke heritage and show how rich we are to the roots. Tribal marks here and there. All of these are things that we can incorporate in all aspects of our campaigning. And these things show that truly we are African. Finally, with the designs. I saw a commercial by M-Pesa from Kenya, and I was proud to see how much they've incorporated rich, authentic Kenyan heritage in their designs and their graphics. It was beautiful to see. Always find a way to incorporate your symbols as African from where you come from, whichever part of the world that you come from. Incorporate them into everything that you're doing in the business. Now the stories. There are stories that are unique to the people of Zimbabwe. And there are stories that only the people of Uganda can relate to. At the same time, there are stories that are unique to just the Yorubas in Nigeria. And there are stories that are unique to the Hausas. Whichever story that we have, whether it's of victory, whether it's of surrender, whether it's of war, we must make sure we portray these stories by the richness of the origin, not allowing any narrative, not allowing any form of cultural wave to fade away the rich authenticity of our cultures and our stories. So we have to tell our stories the way they are, so that people can embrace them just the way they are. And it must be done purely, with no negative intentions attached. The only motive being to empower, to educate, and to enlighten. And finally, whatever stories that are there, we should tell the next generation. Just like we were told different stories, we should always strive to tell our stories to the subsequent generations. And that is how we preserve these things. If you're able to incorporate your language, symbols, and your stories in your business branding, your marketing, your campaigning, it's more than you putting Africa on the map, but it's about you richly representing your heritage, and it's very important. So from today, I want you to have this mindset. Whenever you are crafting business ideas, whenever you are making business decisions, I want you to think 3 things. I want you to ask yourself 3 things. Number 1, if they should take away your business logo, will people still know that your business is African? That means that your African identity and heritage should go just beyond the logo that you're using to represent your business. Secondly, is your business solving a uniquely African problem? Is your business catering to the needs of any part of Africa, any Africans? And thirdly, how will your business rewrite Africa's narrative? Today, we see the likes of Tony Elumelu of Nigeria reshaping the world of banking. And it's beautiful to see. We see different conglomerates springing up here and there all over Africa. What narrative are we shaping? What story are we telling? These are 3 major dimensions that I need you to think about whenever you are planning a business. If you're already a business owner, moving forward, how you should run your business. Because when you hear from these three gems, these three paragons within Africa, our mother Chichi told us that you can't outsource your identity and expect to build a legacy, and it's very true. You can't take an African business and then try and get the identity from abroad and then bring it here. No. You rather propel the African identity to the world. Aliko Dangote said that we must find what makes us unique and proudly own it. And that is how we lead the world. And this is something we can't argue with. There's something that makes us unique. Let us shun away from the pressures. Let us always shun the pressures to integrate ourselves out of ourselves and embrace the very things that make us unique. We can't be more African than the other person. However, you can lose your Africanity. And it's one of the most pathetic things that could happen to anybody. There's something that makes you unique if you're Kenyan. There's something that makes you unique if you're Zimbabwean. There's something that makes you unique if you're Ghanaian. There's something that makes you unique if you're Nigerian. There's something that makes you unique if you're Burkina Faso. There's something that is unique if you're South African. You must embrace that. Efwa Heritage, Ghanaian or heritage, he said that when we imitate, we compete, but when we're authentic, we lead. Truly, if we stand by our identity and represent Africa in its richest forms, who exactly can compete against us? And who exactly will be ahead of us? Because we are the pioneers. We are the pace setters, setting the pace for our subsequent generations. If I'm proudly representing my heritage and my identity as Ghanaian and African to the world, I have no business competing with the Dutch. I can only compete with the Dutch or end up as a lower competition for the Dutch if I try to imitate the Dutch. That when I am authentic to my true original Ghanaian self, I'm leading on my own path. I am on my own unique trajectory that cannot be taken away from me. So think authenticity, think uniqueness, think legacy. So let's embrace some of our brands. We have TriPro, making waves within the educational space all over Africa. Partnerships here and there. Hamaji, Mkopa is bringing a new wave of energy. Flutterwave is changing the dynamics within the e-banking and the e-transfer space. Mpharma is revolutionizing health across Africa. Safaricom is changing the world of telecommunication, permeating different parts of Africa, one territory at a time. She Leads Africa is raising an army of women leaders all over the continent. And Free the Youth is pushing an agenda for youth empowerment and the voice of the youth through their clothing brand, through their clothing brand, and through their advertisement campaigns, and then through their through other forms of merchandise that they sell aside clothing. And so when you see any of these brands that are African out there, they are all, and you see the business thriving today or not thriving today, you should understand that the business is on a path of growth. And so as much as possible, you should embrace your own brands as Africans. Do not shun away from your own brands as Africans. If there's anything you can do to help African business from a distance, as much as you can patronize. Starting from what is close to you, starting from what is distant, far away. But in any case, after evaluating for quality, always put the African brand first. There's something I'll say concerning embracing African brands at the end of my presentation. So how do we keep a mindset of legacy? How do we remain legacy-minded? You see, on our part to creating wealth, we've heard stories where Africa some time ago had some of the world's richest men. We've heard of the stories of Mansa Musa and so on and so forth. But where is all that wealth now? We don't see much of it. And so business or commerce should go beyond just wealth creation. It should be about building legacies. We should want to elevate the standards of our communities from one level to the other. We must make sure that we stick with the dignity that we have as Africans. We are not subservient. We are not obsequious. We are neither of these things. We have a rich dignity, one that is so firm, so firm, that we must uphold in everything that we are doing. And this dignity and this line of impact that we want to make as Africans through business rests on 4 key pillars. There's an economic dimension to the legacy we want to build, the impact that we want to make beyond profits. There's a social dimension to it. There's a cultural pillar and an environmental one. And the economic, we must focus on building systems and not just revenue. We must focus on building systems and not just revenue. The more and better systems that we build, the more sustainability and longevity we will have in everything that we are doing. Revenue is fleeting, but a system that has been put in place well enough, strong enough, staunch enough, will serve generations. And in building these systems, we must make sure we are creating jobs for the African people and prioritizing pro-African recruitment and training and development. Give opportunities to your fellow Africans as much as possible. Also, we must ensure that we build our localized supply chains and must make them sustainable as well. Why? Because if I need gold, if I need cotton, if I need rubber, if I need coffee, best believe there are Africans around me that can provide these things for me. When we have these supply chains built well enough, it makes it easier. It makes Africa very fluid. And while we do these things, we are enriching our economic integration as a continent. And I use the example of Toga Food because I've seen how they are transcending the supply chain space in providing food beyond the borders of Kenya to other parts of East Africa and Africa. On the social side, we want to adopt inclusion at every aspect of the business level, entry level, managerial level, strategic level. And so we must do these things such that there's a culture of investment from the bottom to the top and from the top to the bottom. And as we do that, we must make sure we are not crowding out any of our genders. We must empower both genders. We must ensure there's equity, and so on and so forth. Finally, there must be digital inclusion. MTN mobile money has crossed borders. I'm dreaming of the day where I'll see M-Pesa cross Kenya and enter Ghana to compete with MTN over here. Healthy competition. Digital inclusion is something we cannot do without. Now, Flutterwave is serving countries beyond Nigeria. That is digital inclusion. With the culture, we must own our creativity. We must own our creativity. Let us not look down on a Hausa movie. Let us not look down on a Zulu movie, a Swahili movie, a Lobi movie, and so on and so forth. We must patronize our own, love our own, learn to enjoy our own, rid ourselves of the biases, shed the biases that we've been carrying for so long. And as we like our own and patronize our own, we are monetizing our culture. How we treat it is what makes it attractive to the people out there. And as we do this, we are pushing the boundary to give African socialism, African creativity a greater reach, while at the same time deepening our roots. Because entering new markets can be tempting. Entering new markets have a way of infiltrating your original culture. But we must deepen our roots all along the way to be sure that we are not losing it. That is why I like what they did in the Black Panther movie. That is also the reason why I liked the fact that they were incorporating music from different Africans within that movie. They play songs from Burna Boy, the young boy from Port Harcourt. They play songs from Thames, and so on and so forth. We've had music from Davido. We've had music from different people. One of the most satisfying things I ever experienced was when I attended a conference and they were playing Nerea by Sauti Sol, one of my favorite musicians from Kenya. And I can sing that song word for word. That is how much I love African culture. And finally, our environment. We have no other home but Africa. No matter where we go, no matter how long we stay far away, we must make sure we care about the sustainability of our environment. So from agriculture, everything that we are doing should, as much as possible, be eco-friendly. And it's about time we all moved. We all swung the pendulum of energy from the old ways to the new renewable sources, the green and eco-friendly ones. We have abundant sunshine, and so solar energy. We have heat from the earth, and so geothermal. We have wind on our shores, and so wind energy, and so on and so forth. And that is why I like what Mkopa is doing. Mkopa is right here. And finally, there must be circular economies. We are our own producers and our own consumers. And with our population, there's no reason why companies should collapse due to poor patronage. We have not reached the maturity when it comes to circular economy in Africa yet. But it's a vow we must make that in our time, we are going to make a remarkable progress. It doesn't matter how long it takes, and even if it takes us all our lifetime, these are things that we must achieve. Because the focus is not just us, it's a legacy we are building for the future generation. And so before we talk about, and so as we are talking about all of these transformations, we must take care to notice the log in our eyes. And so we must know our barriers. The fundamental one is limited access to capital. There's a chronic entrepreneurial underfunding. A lot of ideas, but no money to fund them. Brilliant ideas, but no money to fund them. There's also risk-averse lending because we don't patronize ourselves. And so if the bank is to release credit to an entrepreneur, they are wondering, how will this person pay back? And so we give our fellow Africans interest rates that are exorbitant. And these things deter entrepreneurs from wanting to borrow. And so we have no option than to shrink our ideas and our goals and our visions to the amount of money that is available. And some way, somehow, we never get there. There's also very limited venture capital. While we are battling with the financial issues, we're also battling policy and regulatory friction. How Egypt wants their things done is different from how South Africans want their thing done. And so there's over-regulation everywhere. One law colliding with the other, and so on and so forth. And if I want to go into another African country because of these regulatory barriers and these policy impediments, I face a lot of bureaucratic delays. Trying to do something spectacular within my continent, in another man's country, within my own continent. And these are barriers you may not find the European Union encountering. And so there's a lot to learn from here. Also, with the fragmented regulations, a law here is not a law there. A rule here is not a rule there. What is prohibited here is celebrated there. And while we are not pushing back on diversity, as much as possible, we must find a common ground for our legal framework and policy framework to work. When these things are not there, we are struggling. Then it comes to our infrastructure deficits. it blows my mind. I'm sure it blows yours too, that we have power outages to this day. There are poor transportation networks to this day. There are limited basic utilities, limited amenities for the average African person. And there's also a weak digital infrastructure. And because of these challenges, we face a lot of human capital flight and talent gaps. Our schools are teaching a lot of things that are not responding to the needs of the market. And so there's that mismatch between what the student graduates school knowing and what the market needs to solve its problems. And because of that, most of our talents migrate abroad with no intention of coming back because we do not have the capacity to hone them enough. And then, as human as we are, we face cultural and perception barriers. Where this countryman feels they are superior to the other country person. And the chain continues. So if I buy a product or I see a product that has a tag of this country person, I automatically assume it's of inferior quality and I do not patronize at all. And then there are colonial legacies. I'm Francophone, I cannot buy from a Lusophone. I'm Lusophone, I cannot employ an Anglophone. I'm Anglophone, I cannot deal with Francophones. These colonial legacies have torn us apart for the longest time, and it's time for it to stop. And then across the sectors, we are working in silos. Meanwhile, there could be a bridge between the educational system in Congo and the educational system in Burundi and Malawi. We could have an integration of style between the fabric production industry in Ethiopia and the fabric production industry in Senegal. There really isn't anything that stops us. We need more shared platforms. And we need to start thinking ecosystem. Not just thinking country, not just thinking neighborhood, but thinking ecosystem. And so this is our way forward. We must embrace the Pan-African market integration across the entire continent. Make your agbada. Sell it in Mauritania. You have Rafikis. If you are Kenyan, if you are Swahili, best believe you have Rafikis in Ghana. Bring us your music. We like them. Share your food with us. We'll try them. That's why we are grateful for the AFCFTA intervention. I'll get into that in my subsequent slide. There must be talent transformation with a focus on entrepreneurship. Anytime we are training people, we should train them with the mindset of creating to solve problems. We must all come together and help each other improve our skills on the digital space. And while at it, we must be emotionally intelligent to our unique differences. There must be capital innovation. We must explore other forms of raising capital to fund our ideas. We need to get more into angel networks and reduce the dependency on banks. We need to leverage more diaspora funds from fellow Africans doing well across the ocean. And we must make sure that whatever investment that we are making is impact motivated. And finally, microfinance doesn't have to be stagnant. It can move around. When Africa is fluid, you can access microfinance from anywhere to grow your business. And finally, there must be sustainability in everything that we are doing. We must think preservation and think conservation in everything that we are doing. And so agriculture must be climate smart. We must make sure that we are operating on green economies, right from how we power our homes and our businesses to even the cars that we drive. And finally, we must make sure that we take advantage and explore all diaspora and global connectivity avenues, whether it's partnerships, whether it's investment, whether it's mentorships or trade. And I like what Akinwumi Adesina said. He's the president of ADB, that's Africa Development Bank. And he said that Africa is the youngest continent and that is our greatest asset, which is true. Despite our gut-wrenching mortality rates, we still have the youngest continent. And so our unique strength rests in our youthful population, where over 70% of us are young people within the ages of 30 and below. Secondly, we have the largest untapped markets. We have the most wide spaces across almost all the industries: mining, quarrying, agriculture, education, service, name it. Thirdly, we have the richest natural and cultural capital in the world. We have uranium, there's cobalt, there's gold, there's diamond, we have the cocoa, we have the coffee, we have the cotton, we have the timber, we have the rubber, we have all of these things. The largest producers of gold are here, the largest producers of cocoa are here, the largest producers of coffee are here, and so on and so forth. If we have the strength of continental integration, thankfully, the AFCFTA have made it very easy for us to come together on the same ground and then explore our synergies. And finally, we are on the uprise when it comes to digital innovation and diversification. And it's something that we must never stop. We can never, ever take a pause when it comes to digital innovation and diversification. Moving from banks to mobile apps to mobile money. This is the reality of our strengths. And the more we explore these things, the better it will be for us. And so the African Continental Free Trade Area came with these staggering features that I believe everybody that is interested in doing business in Africa should know. This initiative was launched in 2019 by the African Union in May. And by 2021, it had been signed and trading started. And as it stands, it's the world's largest free trade area in Africa, with over 54 countries out of all the 55 AU nations. This makes it the biggest in the world. And this makes it a significant threat and competition to the diaspora. This free trade area was established to boost inter-African trade. And so, like I said earlier, you sell across your country. You sell beyond your barrier. You sell among yourselves. And you patronize beyond your boundary, beyond your country. This arrangement has given us access to over 1.4 billion people. It means that if you were limited, if I being Ghanaian was limited to just 30 million Ghanaians to pitch my product and services to, now I'm open to 1.4 billion people across the entire continent. And with an estimated GDP of 3.4 trillion, most certainly, these things hint that there's a huge potential for capital accumulation within the African space. This arrangement has brought about policy harmonization, and it has brought about Pan-African branding. There's also a decent amount of competitiveness. Now, if your country is part of this, arrangement, it means that you get to enjoy 90% of tariffs across Africa on all goods and services that you're selling. And so I can sit from the comfort of my home in Accra, Ghana, and then buy a suit, a native kaftan, all the way in Lekki in Lagos, and to be delivered to me. And there are nearly no tariffs on that. If I'm buying in bulk, same applies. That is when I even get to enjoy the benefit the more. There are origin rules. It means that everything that is being traded within the scope of the agreement or the free trade area must be uniquely African. There's a dispute resolution framework to ensure that as we are integrating on this large front, we are, as much as possible, dealing with whatever friction that may arise, and at best preventing them. And the digital trade framework also gives opportunity for people to sell people across continents. That is how come you see Flutterwave being patronized by different parts of Africa without limitation. Back then, it would have probably been limited to just the confines of Nigeria, but now it's not the case. And so the AFCT has brought us remarkable advantage, which we must all take advantage of. And that brings me to the concept of Afrofuturism. We must reimage our business future through our own African eyes. Because when we are thinking, we must not think about the extinction of the Pan-African. We must think about the preservation. We must think about the growth. We must think about the patronage. We must think about the spread of Pan-Africanism. And so when you hear the term Afrofuturism, it is a creative and strategic reimagining of Africa's future through the lens of what we need: heritage. We must preserve. Innovation says create new things, and the possibility tells you that, look, it doesn't matter how crazy your ideas may seem. As long as you're on this continent, you must understand that there's room for you to make it. And so looking at all aspects of technology and culture and capital and imagination, we can re-image the future of our businesses. And so the key things you must look out for in order to promote Afrofuturism, you must look at Afrocentric branding across everything that you are selling, service or product. You must be imaginative and creative in your entrepreneurship, trying to solve problems and bring about better solutions, new solutions to old problems, better solutions to old problems. You must learn to leverage technology to express your culture, whether it's through music, whether it's through digital advertisements, whatever it is. And we must be speculative and futuristic in our outlook. We must always think, what if? We must always incorporate what if scenarios in whatever that we are trying to create for the African continent. This is because it's only then that we can figure out what truly appeals to the African people. And we must be regenerative with the innovation. And we must mimic our traditional biology. That is what traditional biomimicry is about. Telling the old stories over and over again in their most authentic forms to appeal to future generations. And we must treat our creative economy as a power economy, not just as some recessive economy. So the music, the artists, the actors, and so on and so forth. These are people who must give high priority to. And so treating our creative economies as power economies is something we cannot do without. It's high time we started tapping into these, because if you look at the Hollywood movie industry generating trillions of dollars on an annual basis across the series of movies that we are making, it means that looking in the context of Africa, had it not been for the intervention of the likes of Netflix and co, a lot of our creative potentials would have been done. Meanwhile, that is a power economy. Our creative economy can be as powerful as our mineral economy. For example, in Ghana here, recently we made $1 billion from the sale of one of our mines. And $1 billion can be made in Hollywood on just a single movie. That should tell you that one movie, when made good enough, when monetized enough, is as powerful as an entire mine. And these are the things that we are missing out on because we are not taking our creative economies as power economies. And we must learn to connect with our people in the diaspora so they do not lose their roots, and so we do not lose them. And anytime we are telling our stories, anytime we are shedding light on the African heritage, we must do it from the perspective of creators and victors, not as victims. Not as victims. Because for long, we are all aware that there has been several plots and strategies and several conspiracies and intrigues that have been put together to sort of vilify our most transformational leaders and our most transformational agendas. And it's about time that we own our own narrative and re-image them and make us as Africans to come out as creators, victorious creators, not as some victims. And so here's our call to action. We must take charge of our identity. We must focus on the innovation. We must ensure that everything that we are doing is targeted at impact. Because our future as Africans won't just happen. We must design it. It starts with you. It starts with me. Whatever choices you make, whatever business you venture into, whatever leadership role that you take, you can't be passive at it at any point. You cannot renege on your role. You cannot derelict on any of your roles. You must take charge in anything that you decide to do. You are responsible for every choice that you make as African. You are responsible for the kind of businesses that you decide to run, what service and product that you are offering. And it's time to be active with whatever thing that you are creating. It's time to be hands-on. Let us fold our sleeves and then get our hands dirty. Because that's the only way we can wash our diamonds clean. And so as we reflect and activate our creative senses, our impact senses, our identity as Africans, our innovation senses, let's ask ourselves these questions. If you have a business, if you are part of a business, how will that business unlock African identity? What impact are you going to make? Or what impact model will you incorporate into your business model? Is your business going to serve the community? Is it going to grow talent? Will it protect our environment? And finally, who are you going to collaborate with across the African ecosystem? Are you going to continue working in silos? Are you going to continue shunning away from collaborating with other people in Africa? Or are we going to stand up and take advantage of our synergies? It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether your business is a startup or a conglomerate. It doesn't matter whether you're in government. It doesn't matter whether you are creative or not. It doesn't matter whether you live in a diaspora or you live at home. Who will you collaborate with across the ecosystem? These are things that we need to ask ourselves as we promote. And I'll end with this. Now, fargin is a Yiddish word, now usually used by the Jews. Let me tell you a brief story and then I wrap up. Now, fargin is a model where these Jews were heavily patriotic. And so, say this person is a dressmaker. They make a dress. When they make the dress within the Yiddish community, everybody within the community will buy the dress from that particular dressmaker. There are other producers of clothes or clothing outside the Yiddish tribe. However, they buy from their person. And then as they buy from that person, whatever defects that are there, they give him direct feedback and say, look, we like this clothes that you did. You should fix this. You should fix that. Work on this, work on that. This didn't work out. That didn't work out. And so they correct the person on all the wrongs that they made. And then, having given the person that feedback, they go and patronize the person again. So thereby giving the person another opportunity to make better clothing, and then they all go and buy. And so they are creating generational wealth. They are preserving their heritage. They are empowering their own from time to time. Even if their own is not as quality and as good as other people, they'll rather patronize you again, but giving you the feedback and the room and the grace to grow and then improve upon your creation, improve upon your output, improve upon your offering, whether product or service. Feedback and repeated patronage, giving you the opportunity to grow. And the same thing will apply if the person was a baker. Same thing will apply if the person was a butcher. Same thing will apply if the person was a teacher. Same thing will apply if the person was a driver. Same thing will apply if the person was a mechanic. Same thing will apply if the person was a lawyer. Same thing will apply if the person was a medical doctor. That is how we build ourselves. That is how we give ourselves the opportunities. And so I encourage us as African business people to embrace farging. We must find joy in the success of our fellow Africans. We must take pleasure in seeing other Africans thrive. We must celebrate and support our achievements as much as possible without envy. I am not against you if you are Nigerian. I'm not against you if you are Kenyan. I'm not against you if you are Angolan. I'm not against you if you are Guinean. I'm not against you if you are Egyptian. I'm not against you. It doesn't matter where you are coming from. It doesn't matter where you are. As long as you belong on this tree, this African tree of life, as long as you belong here, we are all from the same black stem and from the same black root. And so in business, if we truly want to unlock the identity and impact that we have as Africans within the African business ecosystem, having done all of these things, we must move from this day with a Farage mentality. Thank you very much, and that brings me to the end of my presentation. Please, I'm done with my presentation. Can the moderator kindly take over? And for anybody that is needs a copy of the presentation, kindly send me an email here, and I'm putting my email in the chat box. Kindly send me an email there, and then I will share the presentation with you. Just let me know your name, and then I'll share the presentation with you. Thank you very much. Please, can the moderator hear me? You can take over now. I'm done with my presentation. While we are waiting for the moderator to take over, if there's anybody that has any questions that they would like to ask me, I'll take them while we wait for the moderator to join. Thank you. I'll take any questions, anything at all. Any questions, any comments, any suggestions, I'll take them.
Right, fantastic. I think our moderator is taking quite some time to log back on. So maybe I'd just engage you on one thing, you know. Thank you very much, Sarpong, for the presentation. It was quite elaborate, and I really loved how it went on. So my question, or rather my concern, would be, it is definitely cut out that we need to support our brands as Africans, yeah, and we need to show this unique kind of camaraderie in terms of pride and everything. So, would it be advisable to now, um, I would, for lack of a better word, commercialize it or sell it, or should we just end it at the pride of being African among Africans? So yeah, maybe you could tackle that.
Joseph, kindly rephrase the last part of your question again. The last part of your concern, that is.
Okay, okay. Well, basically, my concern is, should we just end the pride of being African as an African thing, or should we also explore the commercialization of, whatever we are proud of to the external world now, possibly to other continents, that is?
Yes, as much as possible. You know one reality. The reality is that we have played, Africans to a very good extent have played a bigger role, have made a greater contribution to the success of their industries and their inventions and everything than people even from their own continent and people from their own home countries. And so, in the spirit of trying to promote whatever thing that we have doing African, we must make sure that, number one, we are doing our things right. We are not compromising on quality. That is number one. Number two, we are giving ourselves the opportunities to grow, the opportunity and the grace to grow. Number three, we are not perceiving our things, our stuff as inferior because it's coming from us. We must see it as quality because it's coming from us. And not just quality by perception, but quality indeed, because when you look at the product and service, it must be quality as such. No compromise, nothing of that. And then, to the people of the world, you take the African thing and then you sell it to them. Now, if they believe that they do not need to buy from you because you're African, that simply means that there is a perception bias that they have against us. Now, it may take time for us to correct that perception bias that they have against us. And frankly, that is not our business. That shouldn't be our priority. Our priority is how to deal with perception barriers from our own people. Because, trust me, Africans are enough for Africans. African patronage is enough for Africans. African followership is enough for Africans. African faith is enough for Africans. African belief is enough for Africans. We are more than sufficient for ourselves. Anytime somebody chooses someone from the diaspora to provide any service or any product, as opposed to what a fellow African is selling of the same thing, there is a leakage of capital accumulation. There's a leakage going to the diaspora instead of staying home. And so when you go to Aba in Nigeria, in Asaba, and you check out where they make shoes at some of the biggest shoemaking hubs on the continent, and then you actually check the quality of the shoe, and you compare it to the quality of a shoe that you might pick up from, say, a Ferragamo store, truly indeed, the quality will be the same, if not better. The difference is they have, you see, They have done more marketing, and the more aggressive marketing that they've done over time, and they operating by the logic of or the ideology of farging among themselves is making us to believe that their things are better than ours. And so even when our people do better things, they don't have the opportunity to showcase it. And they don't have the opportunity to prove it. And that is how they keep winning. But that shouldn't be the case. And so I encourage everybody as much as possible listening to me, look, give your fellow African brother a chance. Give your fellow African brother a chance. People are wearing Turkish shoes and all of that stuff. People are wearing different kinds of suits, different kinds of suits, different kaftans and different shoes and all of these other things. But if you really pay attention to the things that are going on in Africa, you notice that we are actually ahead of the game. Listen, Joseph, recently I watched the AMVCA Awards. Okay. I promise you, the outfits I saw on the AMVCA red carpet, I saw more significant, more stunning outfits on the AMVCA carpet than I saw at the recent Met Gala. Vicky James has made better dresses than Prada. And that is the truth. Deji and Kola has made better suits than Balmain. And that is the truth. And it's about time we take our Deji and Kola, we take our Vicky James, we take our Tokota, we take all of these and then send it to the world out there. You be proud of what you're wearing. Be proud of everything African that you have on you to represent Africa. Be proud of them. Be proud of them. I go on road trips a lot. I'll never go on a road trip without not playing a Sauti Soul song. I play all of them. Salif Keita. Even when I posted my flyer on my Instagram, the soundtrack was Salif Keita. All of these are Salif Keita, Papa Wemba, Awilo Longomba. All of these are our own. These are our people. We don't expect other people to love them more than we love ours. And that is a Farragian mentality. If the Jews did it, we can do it. And that is how, and because they've done it for so long, that is how come you see the Jews running some of the biggest empires and industries and conglomerates in the world. So it's time for you and I, Joseph. Let's make better choices for the African people. Please hope I've answered your question.
Definitely, and very beautifully so. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, Mariam, please take over.
So it seems Mariam is off the call. I don't know. Can I kindly call upon Gloria to confirm if she will be coming back or if we should proceed to conclude.
Okay, thank you very much, December. Well, allow me to just get back to her and then I will give you the updates after that. Just give me a second.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for that. So, well, kindly, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching the last lap of our pre-summit, the African Youth Empowerment pre-summit. It's been a very engaging 3 days. So I'd like to just get some of your views. What do you guys think? How have you had the experience so far? And what are you looking forward to? By way of ambush, I'd just like to attack very unexpectedly a very good brother of mine that we met almost 2 weeks ago, Mr. Benjamin Pascal. I don't know if you're on call. Uh, I don't think he's on call. So I've seen Faisal Abdi is someone who has been very consistent in attending these sessions. Faisal Abdi was actually there during the unveiling of the pre-summit on Wednesday morning. So I don't know if Faisal Abdi is on call. Are you around, sir?
Yes, my brother Joseph. Thank you very much. And thank you, and team. This is Faisal Abdi from Kenya, and it's good to be here. It's good to learn. And the last three speakers, they spoke about so many things about how men don't open up. It is true. Actually, according to us as an organization, I run an organization called Pamoja Digital Empowerment in Kenya. Mostly we deal with youth empowerment. We make sure we take them to school, that is TVET courses. We make sure also we take them to IT, ICT, at least and we get them to connect. And we should be proud as Africans in terms of digital skills, because it's one of the ways that it's going to make us connect and also make us and move very fast. And one of the things we realized is most suicide are being committed by men because actually they don't open up. We don't have a system that brings that young boy to speak up. And the way we have been raised in different cultures is a man supposed to lead. And when you go to a certain police station and then maybe report and you have been beaten, but instead of the police helping you, they will laugh at you. How come were you beaten, And it's one of the speakers, she spoke about it and try to think about it. And that is one of the ways that we are doing. Right now as an organization, and as up to tomorrow, we are doing and to prisons. We also go to prisons where mental health is real. It's true, people die because they don't have a system to talk about these things. And as an organization, we try to sort that issue out, and we try our level best. And how do we do it? And it is because we try to support each other. We have a program called an Sisi kwa Sisi program. That means that Sisi kwa Sisi in Swahili means us for us, youth for the youth. If we don't do that, and it becomes, Joseph, very hard for the young boys to connect. And my advice will be, fellow Africans, don't wait for permission to lead. Start where you are. With that you have, use your voice, your skill, your passion to create. Focus on solving real problems in your community. Build a network. not just followers, and always and always lead with integrity, because Africa needs bold leaders with clear vision and clean heart. You have to love the soil. You have to love. And remember last time I said, and we have the numbers in the world as young people. We should take advantage of that. Thank you very much. It has been a lovely, lovely summit, and looking forward to learn more. And thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Faisal. So let's have Benjamin, and then I can see Majid has come back on call. So immediately after Mr. Benjamin, Mariam, please, you could take over. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Simba. What I'll say is just to echo what I had shared initially earlier on today. I'm saying today is because we are still not yet at midnight. But one thing that I want to point out is I remember during the planning phase of this whole summit, at some point it was a little bit overwhelming, and I know that was for you guys, Elia and the team, and Gloria and the team. Most of the time, when you find yourself in a situation where you are overwhelmed by the planning and all that, and things seem like it's not all coming together as you wanted, most people usually either cancel the entire thing. But I'm really grateful that you decided to think outside the box and say, no, we can't cancel it. Let's move ahead with it. I know we had some speakers that were planned for this. But you see, the most amazing thing is you decided, can we now create this particular platform and have some young people as well come in and become speakers within this particular summit. And that was really, really a good move, because I have listened to amazing and incredible young people who have already gone out ahead of us and started, creating and paving the way. So we are basically benchmarking on what the others have already done. And so I want to agree with my friend that has just spoken here, that it's not a time for us to wait for the opportunity to be created. We take that opportunity, or we create that opportunity ourselves. And so the platform which IS has created becomes the stepping stone for us to be able to build upon it and move to the next level, which is now moving these conversations from just mere words and put them into actions. And this is something that I know Gisimba has been talking about, that this summit is not supposed to be just a place where we are going to have a conversation, but we need to move beyond the conversation. And so I totally believe that we have an amazing network right now that has come up through this IS conference. So let us build on that and be able to put into implementation what we have discussed, what we have recommended, what we have envisioned. And I believe we are going to get where we need to get and create that Pan-African network that we are desiring to. Back to you, Gisimba. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Over to Majid. I don't know. Well, Majid keeps coming on and off the call, so I think it's best to proceed and conclude. Now, I'm not sure in a position to open my camera. Let me do it quite quickly. So, mhm. Yes, I hope I am visible. I am using my device here, so it might not be the clearest. Hey, this quality is not the best, but yeah, this is what I have for now. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an engaging 3 days. It has been a fantastic experience, getting to interact with all the brilliant minds that have been here in the pre-summit. And I would not have it any other way. I just have to say, I would not have it any other way. There have been very insightful conversations. Just this evening, right now, we've had Eunice on call. We've had Sarpong on call. By the way, I've seen your presentation already delivered to my email address. Thank you so much. This is now the beginning of a very beautiful journey. That's the only thing I can assure everyone that's on call and everyone that's going to view this video, even past the end of this live stream. This is only the beginning of a very beautiful journey. And I am so glad and so proud that all of you have been a part of it. And we are going to do wonders, to say the very least. So I just like to appreciate everyone that's on call, on Zoom, and via YouTube, the ones who are following the live stream. It has been such a surreal experience. I want to appreciate everyone who went towards organizing this whole thing. The technical team, Kenneth Bray, Kojo, very fantastic individuals who've had Aubrey Pong, we've had Jeff, Dennis. I mean, the list is so long. The Majid who was on call, it's just moving. It's heartwarming. Our convener, Mr. Alfred Day from Ghana, God just bless you to the highest ends. And this is the pace that we are setting for African youth empowerment. So my name has been Gesimba Atinga. Joseph is my English name. I'm not particular on it because it's not that African, but it has been such a pleasure of my time. It has been such an honor, actually, being with you, brilliant Africans. And I really hope this is not our last interaction, and we are going to follow up with action. Thank you so much. It is 6 minutes to midnight in Kenya. I think it's been a great experience. So stay tuned to our social media platforms. Stay tuned on our website. Be subscribed on our YouTube channel and make sure that you remain a very true ambassador of African youth empowerment. Thank you so much. I wish you good health and prosperity.